Good evening. Welcome to Satsang. I'm very happy that we have another opportunity tonight for an English online Satsang. And I'm so happy that you are here. Welcome. If this is your first Satsang, I want to briefly mention what this is about. Here in Satsang, I share with you what I experienced in the last 20 or 30 years of my life. And I answer your questions if you have questions about your life or about your spiritual path. You can ask questions in the chat, in Zoom or in YouTube. And Simone will read out the questions and I will try to answer them. And if there are no questions from the audience, I have quite a few questions which reached me via email or as comments on YouTube. And then I read those and talk about them. Yeah, and this is what we do here for 1.5 hours. But what actually happens is not so much the talking. I mean, this is what's interesting. This is what we share together. But that what touches us in Satsang, that what changes us in Satsang, this is something which can't be heard and it can't be seen. It happens by us being together here, by the shared energy, by you being close to me, by me being close to you, and by all of us being together. Maybe you know this saying from Jesus in the Bible, when 2 or 3 are together in my name, then I am in the middle of them. And that's what's meant by that. When we come together, all of us who are sincerely looking for the truth in our life, then God is right here. And you can feel it. Yeah, so this is what we do now for 1.5 hours, and let's start. Simone, do we have something to read out?
I have no question to read out, but Anne sends love and blessings.
Thank you, Anne. I'm so happy that you are here. Hello. I have to adjust the volume here. One moment. So. Well, in this case, I will start by reading out a question which I received on YouTube. Thank you so very much for sharing all your wisdom with us. After watching your videos, I gave myself a challenge to do the 45 days of meditation as you mentioned. I have passed the 45-day mark and I do not see anything different than what I was 45 days before. Could you please throw some light on this? To be honest, I was expecting something or some change. But I'm sorry, I don't. Thank you for your question. I love these honest questions. There's something really funny about meditation. You know, when you meditate, what you do is you withdraw your attention from the thoughts and you rest in yourself, you rest in the crown chakra. And you don't give thoughts any attention. If thoughts are coming, you just let them go again and you return with your attention to your crown chakra. And if you have expectations, if you expect anything, even if you don't even know what you expect. That's thoughts. Then you're not meditating. Then you do some sort of trade, some sort of bargain. Yeah? And it's funny because I tell you, meditate, because it will change your life. And it will. But at the same time, I tell you, meditate without any expectation. And I know this is difficult. Yeah, you hear me talk and I say all these beautiful things, or you hear reports from other people and they tell you, or they tell me and I read it out, what happened in their lives. And this is to let you know, hey, here is something which works. Here is that what you were waiting for. But when you do it yourself, then you need to forget all of this and not expect anything, not wait for anything. In some videos I said, you just need patience for this. You just need to be stubborn and patient and just meditate. But even this is said too much. Being patient implies that you are waiting for something. But today I would say, don't wait for anything. Be here. Don't give attention to your thoughts when you meditate. And just let yourself be surprised. Don't wait for change. If you have expectations, then it's not meditation. I have to do the same thing, you know. It's not just you. I know what this meditation does. I have experienced it since many, many years. And still, when I sit down for meditation, I need to forget everything I experienced. I'm totally new, totally naked, as if it's my first meditation. So, if you feel like it, start over. Do another 45 days. But this time, don't expect anything. Just do it because it's fun. Do it because it feels so good to just sit there and not give any attention to all the things which bother you for the rest of the day. Your thoughts, your hopes, your dreams, your fears. You can just take 30 minutes of vacation from all of this. Just enjoy and don't wait for anything. Thank you for your question.
Please continue, Michael.
Yes. So, here's the next email. I find it almost unbearable to meditate these days. There's so much agitation in me. Sitting there with closed eyes, trying to connect to the crown chakra, feels like being in a dark prison cell. What sometimes keeps me from jumping up, when I don't think I can stay there for another moment, is when I open my eyes. At least there is something real to hold on to. There's even some stillness, and I seem to be able to still sense the crown chakra. What I am also drawn to do at this time is to repeat the soul mantra. I am a holy soul, I am a pure soul, over and over again, even though Swamiji has said not to do this during meditation. So my question, why can't I open my eyes during the meditation, when this seems to be so helpful to me? Thank you. I totally appreciate these sincere questions. Let me briefly talk about what happens during meditation. During meditation, we disconnect from everything which comes from outside. We disconnect for 30 minutes from our senses, from our thoughts. We don't look, we don't listen, we don't touch, we don't move, we don't do anything. We just rest in ourselves quietly without doing anything. That's meditation. As soon as you open your eyes, you don't meditate. As soon as you listen, as soon as you open your ears, you don't meditate. As soon as you think, you don't meditate. Now, there's nothing easier than meditating, because you don't do anything, you just sit there. You don't have to do anything. But as you experience, there's something which does not want to allow you to meditate. And this is totally normal. It's like this what you ignore during these 30 minutes of meditation. Your senses, your body, your mind. They don't like this. They want your attention back. First it's the body. It aches and itches. But you just ignore this and you just keep sitting there. And if you're stubborn and if you refuse to give attention to your body for this half an hour, it will quiet down after a few days or weeks. It just gets used to it. But then the next thing which tries to disturb your meditation is your mind. And your mind comes up with very convincing feelings and thoughts why you just can't sit there with your eyes closed doing nothing for half an hour. And it's different for every person because the mind of every person is different, but the mind is very creative. And in your case, it tells you, you can't sit like this, you feel like in a prison cell. I mean, there's nothing easier and better than meditating, but the mind tells you, this is terrible. There is no problem. You can just sit there and you close your eyes. And then the mind starts. And this is the point where it gets interesting, you know. This is the point where it becomes clear who is the boss here. Who has the power over your attention? It's like a battle. You don't battle, but the mind wants to fight with you. And you have two choices. You can give in, or you are just stubborn and you ignore it, and you meditate anyway. Everybody has to go through this in one way or another. And it's so interesting because in reality, there's nothing going on. There's no problem whatsoever. It's all up here. It's all your mind telling you these things. There's nothing happening. You could just enjoy. But for you to discover this, you have to be stubborn and keep sitting there for this half an hour. And then if you are this stubborn every day, every time you meditate, then after some time, your mind will accept that you are the boss. But if you give in, your mind will become stronger. So it's very easy. Just sit down and be stubborn. Yeah. Thank you. I'm so happy that you are here. Greetings to New York. Do I go on?
No, I now have a question to read out.
Oh, how beautiful. Thank you.
It's from Christian.
Hello, Christian. How beautiful that you are here. Hello.
Dear Michael, thanks again for being here with us and making these videos. You touched me very deeply and it changed me from seeing meditation as a kind of obligation to do into something fun and something to look forward to. My question is about being there for loved ones that are not conscious. How to best be there for loved ones that do things that are harmful for them. I don't want to be, and I'm not someone that likes to dictate what to do. For example, saying you should meditate, as I know you don't want this now. But I struggle sometimes with what to do for my loved ones that do harmful things unconsciously. Is just being there what I do now enough? Or are there other things that can be helpful in your experience?
Thank you. What a lovely question. Thank you so much. Yeah, you are on the right track. You know, you can't really interfere with the others, and you know this. You ask, is it enough to just be there? Yes. It does not work if you try to teach those around you. It just doesn't work. This is not your role. Your role is to love them as they are. Don't even pay attention to what they do wrong in your eyes. You know, it's funny. We are all stupid and we are all idiots. But our own stupidity, we don't see. But the stupidity of those around us, it's so easy to see this. And it's so easy to tell them and to give them good advice. But it doesn't work. It's terrible. You know, maybe you remember Jesus. He said, don't pull out the splinter out of the eyes of your neighbor. Pull out the log out of your own eye. Yeah, he says, yeah, you see the little errors of your fellow human beings, but you don't see these huge errors you do yourself. And that's how it is. So you are on the right track. Just love them the way they are. And don't pay any attention to what you think they should do different, so they have it easier. You take care of yourself. And, you know, this is how it works. If you are so wise that you know better, apply it to yourself. Take care of yourself. And if this works, when you get quieter and happier, you start radiating something. And that's what they will pick up on. That's what will change them Or it makes them curious, and one day they ask, what are you doing? What is it? Is this something I can do too? Then you can speak. But this is rare. My experience is that those close to you, your family, your partner, your children, these are not the ones you can teach. It doesn't work. Yeah. They find their own teachers and masters and gurus. I never do this. I never tell anybody anything. Only if somebody comes to me, then I can speak. That's the only way it works. Yesterday I had a very rare experience. There was a friend of the family and he was sharing how he's doing. And he's going on and on and on. And then after half an hour or so, I was cooking at that time. He asked, how are you doing? And I just said, I'm doing really well, thank you. And then he looked at me and he said, what are you doing to make this possible? And then I actually could talk about Samarpan meditation with this man. But only because he was open in that moment, only because he asked. Yeah. But there is something else you can do. When, especially with those people who are close to you, the people you live with, the people you love, you see how they are doing. And you see all the things which they unnecessarily do to make their life harder. And it pains you. Feel your feelings. Yeah? Welcome your feelings connected with those loved ones. Maybe you're scared. Maybe you worry about them. Maybe you feel pain. Those feelings are your feelings. Make peace with them. Make friends with them. Quietly, in you. If you are in peace with how the others around you are, that's the most helpful you can be to the others. Then you return back to peace. And on some level, a level you don't know anything about, that helps the others. Swamiji, the guru who brings the Samarpan meditation, he has a lovely picture about this. He talks about partners. Yeah, when you're married, he said, you are connected like in a laboratory, they have these U-tubes for their chemical things they do. And this U-tube, if you pour water in the one end, in the one leg, on the one side, then the water will distribute equally in both legs of the U. That's the nature of the U-tube. And that's how it is with you and your partner, with you and your loved ones. Everything you do to make yourself stronger, to make your own soul stronger, to progress in your spiritual life, this will benefit your partner. This will benefit the people around you. Because we are connected energetically through these U-tubes. You don't have to speak. You don't have to say one word. You don't know anything about this. This happens automatically. So when you come to peace with yourself and your feelings, this will promote the peace the other person can find. Yeah. It's like everything you do for yourself benefits your loved ones. But invisibly. The others don't know anything about it. And that's the beauty. That's why it works. I do the same here, I never say one word to my partner or to my family, to my sister or my brother. Only if they ask, but they don't. Yeah. Thank you. I'm so happy that you're here.
I have no other question at the moment, Michael.
Great, then I go on with a question I have here. This is from a YouTube comment I received. You said that one should stick with one path and go only on one path and not switch. But there have been many who had one major path and did some other stuff on the side. For instance, Nisargadatta doing his Shaivist stuff, but also doing some bhakti. There are many such examples. Thank you for your comment. I appreciate it. In the video which was referred to here in this comment, I spoke about that it's important that you choose the path you go and then you go it. And usually what people do is they start some path for some while, and then they stop it, and they do something else. And then they do this for some time. And then after a while they stop this, and they start something else. And in this way their life is spent. Each of those paths would have brought them to the goal. But only if you walk the path to the end. Yeah, you can't walk two paths. And that's what I was referring to in the video, which was being commented on. Now, it doesn't mean that you cannot taste this and that and try this and that. I try everything. But if you have your path, you know this is it. This is my way. And then you stick with it. And if you have this determination, if you have this clarity, then you can do whatever you want at the side. But if you don't have this clarity, then it's dangerous. Then it's your mind taking over, and it will prevent you from going on one path to the end. You mentioned Nisargadatta. He was clear on his path. He was totally clear on his path. That's why he could do whatever he wanted. There was no danger of any distraction. He was absolutely clear where he finds God, how he arrives. If you have this clarity, no problem. You can do whatever you want. But I speak to those people who don't have this clarity and who wonder, why is my life a mess? Why don't I progress? Why don't I experience what you're talking about? And if you have no clarity, but you sense, this is for me, then choose it and stick with it. That's the easy way. That's my experience. But of course, I also say, the most important thing is that you are true to yourself. That's the most important thing. It doesn't help if you want to do certain things, yeah? If you want to do this and that and the other, but then you hear me speak these things and say these things. It doesn't do you any good to do it because Michael says it, but you don't want it. You don't believe it. That is not helpful. The most helpful thing is if you are true to yourself. I do the same thing. I do anything, no matter how stupid, if I want this. And I know I will find out. I know I will learn from it. So there's not really anything you can do wrong. Just do where you feel drawn to. Follow your path. That's the one thing I always did. Yeah. So in a way I could answer you like this. If you want to do more than one path, then do it. And along the way, you will find out what's right for you. But many people are in a different situation. Many people have their path, but then they hear other people talk about other paths, yeah? Or they watch a video about something else, and then they wonder, am I missing something? Should I do this too? They don't want to, but they get doubts in their mind. And to those people I say, don't worry about it. Stick to your path. You don't need anything else. Don't worry about it. Yeah? So if you are clear, if you know what you want, don't worry, you don't miss anything. Stick to this one simple path you found, and life is easy. If you feel drawn to many different things, then do this. That's how I live. I'm true to myself. And by this, I learn really quickly. And I find out really quickly by myself what's true. Yeah. And this everybody can do. Thank you for your comment. Thank you that you're here.
You can continue, Michael.
Yes. Okay, here's another YouTube comment. Thank you. Your videos make me so very happy. I do not do the crown chakra meditation, but I meditate with the breath and with my whole body in my attention. I feel that this is better for me. Do you think this is okay? Thank you. Thank you for your sweet question. Well, since you ask me, I guess that there is some curiosity in you. You say you don't do the Samarpan meditation, which you call the crown chakra meditation, but that you focus on your breath and on your body, and that this is better for you. But you know, if you don't do the Samarpan meditation, you don't know whether this is better for you or not. So if there's any curiosity in you, I suggest you just try it out. You can keep doing your breath and body meditation if you feel like it. There's no conflict, you know. That's the beautiful thing about Samarpan meditation. There are no rules. You don't have to not do another meditation, or you don't have to give up smoking or drinking or sex or some religion or anything like this. You can just stay the way you are. You can live the way you live. You can do whatever practice you want to do, and you just add the Samarpan meditation, and then you find out for yourself. So if you feel this curiosity, just try it out. This would be my suggestion to you. And there's a fundamental difference between the breath meditation and also what you do, that you are with your attention on your body, and the Samarpan meditation. You know, our attention is on our body since we have been born, on our body and on the senses of our body, and through the senses of our body connected with the world. In Samarpan meditation, for the first time in your life, you pay attention to something which has nothing to do with your body and which has nothing to do with the world. This is totally different. This is totally new. I mean, this meditation is not really new. It's 800 years old. But for most people these days, it's totally new. And it's a fundamental difference. When I meditate, my body wants my attention, but it doesn't get it. I rest in my crown chakra. This is a very funny spot. The crown chakra is the spot up here you can touch, you can feel. It's nothing esoteric, just this highest spot of your skull. But in some way, when you meditate there, after a while you find out that in some strange way you don't understand, you are not focusing on your body when you do this. It's kind of magic. Just try it out. Find out for yourself. Then you know what I'm talking about. But as I said, there's no problem. You know, do whatever you want to do. But maybe you want to try this meditation. It's a game changer. So, let's see what else I have here. Now, here's a comment which I received on a video I did briefly before Christmas last year. And the title of the video was "The Magic of a Yes Out of Joy." And I was talking about this magic which happens when you surrender to life, when you accept how things are. And I said that if you do this, if you accept, but not this forced acceptance, like, okay, I can't do anything anyway, so okay, I accept. Not this one, but an acceptance with your full power, with joy, with your whole being. Then this changes everything. That's what I said in the video. And on this video I received this comment here. Thank you for your video, but when one is in a truly horrific circumstance that they can't get out of, and every day feels like pain and obligation and slavery to others, like family, then your trick doesn't work. It just doesn't. I have tried it in good faith for years, and no, it doesn't work for all circumstances. Thank you. I really appreciate honest disagreement because it gives me the opportunity to clarify what I'm talking about. Let me first tell you what I'm not talking about. I'm not saying that you should accept any outer circumstance as if you are powerless. Quite the contrary. I tell you all the time, take care of yourself. I encourage you all the time, take care of yourself as good as you can. That's your first and most important task. When I say surrender, accept, say yes. In that video I told you, people wonder, what should I accept? What is it? Should I accept like what other people want from me, even though I don't want this? And my response is, you accept that what is closest to you. I give you an example. Somebody comes to you and says, can you help me? I need your help. And you feel inside of you, no, I don't feel any energy for this. I don't want this. That's what's closest to you. And to accept this, maybe you feel wrong, maybe you feel stress or even fear because you don't want to offend the other person. And then to still say yes to how it is for you. It doesn't mean you help this person or you don't want to. It means you need to be true to yourself, because this is what your feelings tell you. That's the difficult thing. It would be much easier to help your neighbor. But then you are a slave. But to take care of yourself, that's the difficult part. And saying yes to this joy, to your insecurity, to your feeling wrong, to your being scared, that's quite a task. And this is the most difficult thing for most people. Taking care of themselves. We have not learned this. From childhood on, you are a small child, you learn to always take care of the others first. Nobody tells you, look out for yourself. Everybody tells you, don't do this, don't do that, don't offend your uncle, be nice to this person, be nice to that person. And you just stop taking care of yourself. And you can't live like this. And when you start taking care of yourself, this is such a difficult task. It pushes all of your buttons. But for this I encourage you. And if you feel a no inside of you to any demand from other people, to anybody, saying yes to this, what you feel, to your own energy, this is what I'm talking about. Now, sometimes you are in circumstances where you have no choice. No matter what you want, no matter what you feel, you can't do anything. And then to say yes to this. When you realize, here I'm helpless, here I'm powerless, here I really cannot do anything. Then to say yes to this with all of your power. And this also will change everything. So, if there's anything you can do, this yes to what you feel inside, to your own energy, will help you to take care of yourself. And if there's nothing you can do, this is very rare, but sometimes this happens, then this yes helps you to deal with this situation where you cannot do anything else but accept. And if you accept this situation fully, with all of your power, that's the easiest way. But when I read your comment, I guess you are in a situation where you can do something. It just takes all of your courage, all of your power to take care of yourself. And that's what I encourage you to do. Yeah. There's a lot of misunderstanding with this acceptance. Yeah. There is a lot of misunderstanding because you hear things, even in the church, in the Christian church, even in the Bible, you read things where, and they are used to tell you, don't take care of yourself. This is not okay. But I tell you the opposite. It starts with you taking care of yourself. If you don't do this, nothing else will work. Yeah? So maybe we have a misunderstanding here between the two of us. And that's why I appreciate your comment. Thank you for writing. Simone, I just go on until you interrupt me, yeah?
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah?
No.
So here I have another question from the other side of the ocean, which I received as an email. Could you please speak about sex? Age-wise, I am beyond where it is an issue in my life, but I have never understood it. It was the most confusing and painful element in my relationship with my husband, with whom I now live separately. I never had a strong sexual desire, except in my fantasy. Yet I could do it. But at a certain point in my 50s, I no longer could. I do not know why. We did not have a good relationship, but I was committed to it and did not want to separate from him. And I felt that as a marriage partner, I owed him sex. He always told me that I was not a healthy woman, and on some level I believed him. What does a woman sexually owe a man in a marriage? What if she simply does no longer want it without understanding why? I can totally comprehend the rightness of two people not wanting anything from each other. But in the sexual area, I'm not clear. The man seems to be in pain when he does not get sex. And having an extramarital relationship does not appear to be a solution or even wanted. So how can his needs be met? In my life as a married woman, I felt responsible for having to meet this need and terribly guilty for not being able to, for wanting to simply close this chapter in our relationship and in my life. But I never could find an answer. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is truly an interesting topic between men and women. You ask, what does a woman sexually owe a man in a marriage? Well, it's quite simple. A woman doesn't owe anything to a man, be it in a marriage or not. And the last thing you owe a man is sex. Now, it is totally normal in relationship, in marriage, that the partners have expectations towards each other. It's so normal that you think this is what relationship is actually about. But I tell you, this is not true. A relationship is not possible if you have expectations from each other. Then you don't have a relationship. You have a business relationship. And that's okay if this is what you want to have, yeah? Two people living together and making each other's lives easier because the one gives something, the other gives something. But if there's something you don't want, but you do it anyway, this is not good. Then you can't love your husband. And I just said, it's totally normal for most couples to have expectations of each other. And we have amazing strategies to get what we want. And you experienced how your man, how your husband made you feel as if it's your job to give him what he needs. He doesn't need this at all. He wants it. Yeah. And for a man, it can feel quite strong. Yeah. But it's not your responsibility. But in a relationship, we have these strategies. Not only the man, the woman do the same thing. They just have different means to get what we want. We force the other person, the partner, by emotional tricks, by physical force, by scaring the other, by threatening, all kinds of strategies, so we get what we want. But this is common, but not normal. This is not the way it needs to be. You know, men are like little children. And if a man doesn't get what he wants, he feels rejected. And this is terrible for a man. For a woman too, by the way. Yeah. When a man feels sexual and the woman says, no, I don't want, the man feels rejected. And this pushes his buttons, his biggest, his deepest buttons. It has nothing to do with sex. It's an emotional thing. It's a childhood thing. But it happens through sex. And the man thinks he needs sex. This is not true. The man is looking for mama. But it feels so strong. Yeah, and this need you feel with your husband, this is real. He feels this. Yeah, he feels needy, totally needy. But this is not your problem. So you ask, what do you owe your partner? You don't owe your partner anything. Well, one thing you owe him: to be honest. And when I say to be honest, I don't mean that you tell him everything. I don't mean to tell him the truth when he asks you a question. This is not the honesty I'm talking about. To be true to yourself. You owe it to your partner that you are true to yourself. Because then he meets you. Then he gets to know you. If you play games, if you are not true to yourself, then he doesn't know you. And then you can't live together. Then you live together as actors, but not as lovers. So you owe it to him to be true to yourself. That's all. This is an area that I'm very grateful for your courage to write this email to me and to allow me to talk about it here. Because this is an area where basically every human being has an issue with. Sex can be so beautiful, but only in freedom. Every step of the way, freedom. Yeah. Never any obligation. And even if you feel like sex and then you start having sex, and I mean, I know this is not your issue anymore, but I want to elaborate a little bit for other people who are still enjoying sex. Maybe you feel hot and your partner too, and then you start cuddling, and maybe you even start having sex, and suddenly you notice, oh, something changed. I need to stop this. Then stop it. There's so many beautiful ways you can share time together. Yeah. Sex is nothing which you need to follow through. But each person, each human being has to discover this for him or herself. I remember, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, maybe even I think it's about 20 years ago. Time flies. I had a girlfriend, a beautiful girlfriend. And I was hot. I would have loved to snuggle with her and to sleep with her, but she didn't want to. And she just fell asleep. And I was awake and I was cooking. I was burning. I felt so terrible. So I know how it is for a man, but I guess for women it can be the same. And then to feel these feelings and to not expect something from the other, but to feel your feelings, to make peace with them. And then you discover something amazing. Once you made peace with all these feelings which are being triggered, you discover, I don't need anything. It's easy. And then you can enjoy a relationship. Then you can meet in truth, which means no expectations. And then even sex can be lovely. Sometimes, if both want it. But you have another question. Your email is so rich. You said, what if she simply does no longer want sex without understanding why? This is a key point you address here. You never understand why. Sometimes you feel hot. You don't know why. Sometimes you don't. But you don't know why. I never know why I feel a certain way. Sometimes I have energy to do something. And I think, oh my God, this is stupid. But I feel the energy. I don't know why I feel this. But the energy is there, and I listen to the energy. Sometimes I feel, no, I don't want this. I don't understand why. Everything seems fine, and there's no reason not to want this, but I don't want it. So never look for the explanation. That's a trap. Yeah, then you are locked in your head. Of course, the other person always wants an explanation. And then you just say, I don't know. I don't understand myself. I just don't want. And then it's easy. As soon as you try to explain something, you're in a trap. So don't explain anything. Just be true to yourself. And as soon as you are true to yourself, you will meet challenging responses from your partner. It just is like this. But there's no choice. You need to be true to yourself. Let me look one more time. There were so many beautiful things in your email. You write, the man seems to be in pain when he does not get sex. Yes, of course. Have you ever observed a small child? Yeah, you can go to the store and go shopping. And then you see a mama with her child. And the child wants something, and the mama says no. And the child is in such pain. Amazing. The child doesn't get what it wants. And it requires the total strength of the mother to deal with this. Yeah, the man wants sex, he doesn't get sex, and then he's in pain. Has nothing to do with sex. It has to do with his wanting, with his expectation. Yeah, and when you have expectations, then you are up for pain. It just is like this. It's not your problem. I mean, you have to deal with it, but it's not, the pain of your partner, of your husband, is not a sign that this is something he really needs and you need to give it to him. This is not true. No man needs sex. No woman needs sex either. If man would need sex, mankind would be extinguished by now. Yeah? Then men would drop dead everywhere. But they don't. Obviously, men don't need sex. Yeah? But they want sex. They feel like it. Nature made it so men want sex. They're open for it. And that's not easy for a man, But he doesn't need it. He needs to make peace with his own feelings. Yes, that's what he needs. But most men don't do this. Then then it's not so easy for you as a woman. And that's why I encourage you, be true to yourself. And this throws the man back onto himself. And then he has to deal with his wants and his expectations himself. And the only reason that all these issues come up in sexuality so strongly, much stronger than in other areas of life, is because the sexual energy is the second strongest energy a human being knows. The strongest energy is the survival energy. And the second strongest is the sexual energy. And because it's so strong, the expectations are so strong and the feelings are so strong. It's not a need. It's nothing essential, but the energy is strong. And that's why it makes for such drama and for such pain if you're not in peace with this. But no human being needs sex. That's the truth. Thank you for your letter. So, I'm so glad that I can answer all these comments here. Here I have a comment. This is a different kind of comment. My cat watched your video and touched you with her paw. So I did the same. This is a sweet comment, and I briefly want to respond to this because, animals, especially cats, but also other animals, they are so receptive to energy. Animals feel your truth. Yeah, when you're in a bad mood, maybe you don't even know it, but the animal knows it and hides away. And when you are in peace, when you're connected to your higher, to your soul, the animal feels it. And the animal comes. Animals love meditative energy. Animals love meditation. And for us humans, it's the same. We can feel this too. We just have grown rather insensitive. But when you start meditating, you become sensitive again. That's why the meditation is so essential for the path back to your inside, back to heaven. Happiness, your soul, God, These are very, very subtle things. And for you to experience it and to find it and to feel it, you have to become sensitive again. That's all. Once you become more sensitive, it's all yours. The animals are totally sensitive. They don't think. That's why they can feel it. And we can become sensitive again. And the path to this is the Samarpan meditation. And by ignoring all this very unsubtle input we get all day long from our senses and especially from our thoughts, by this it's like we reset our subtle receptivity. We become more and more quiet, more and more subtle. And then we start experiencing and perceiving things we have not been able to perceive before. And that's why it's also so important when you meditate to learn to take care of yourself, because you get more and more subtle, more and more sensitive, and you have to take better and better care of yourself. That's why it's so important that it's a slow process, because this learning needs time. Swamiji often says, the slower, the better. Yeah. So you can become sensitive again. The path to this is the Samarpan meditation. And then you become able again to recognize your soul, to recognize God. The more quiet you become inside. Yeah, that's why I love animals so much. We have 3 cats here in the house, and sometimes all 3 of them lay around me somewhere. They love body contact, and they just sit there for hours. It's so beautiful. Animals are so sensitive. It's really a good example. Thank you for this beautiful comment. Okay. Here's a comment. It's not a question, but I like this comment. He or she writes, I think verse 2 in Romans chapter 12 describes the effect of Samarpan meditation very well. There it reads, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. I feel Samarpan meditation is doing a great job in transforming my mind for the better. Yes, it's exactly this. You know, when you do the Samarpan meditation for a while, for some months or years, then you begin to understand what Jesus said. Then you begin to read the Bible in a completely different way, because now you understand out of your own experience what's going on. Yeah. And there in this chapter you just quoted from the Bible, it describes what we talked about earlier. You turn away from the world, back inside to the subtle. You readjust your mind. You adjust the direction you're looking at. You don't look outside anymore, but you turn around to the inside. Yeah. Do not conform to the patterns of the world. Yeah. Don't base your center out there, but bring it back to God, to the inside. Yeah, lovely. Thank you so much. And this is my experience. You know, I in my videos I talk about Jesus so often. I never used to talk about Jesus in my life ever. I don't know much about Jesus, but after I did the Samarpan meditation for years, suddenly I remembered things I heard from Jesus, and suddenly I understood it. Suddenly it was like, that's what he meant. My God. And this gets more and more when you meditate. Yeah, it's great fun. Thank you. It seems like today I can do the satsang all by myself. Okay. Now here's a comment where two people discussed one of my videos. And I don't want to read the discussion, but the one person said he described what is important to him and why I guess he didn't like something about a video. I don't know. And he addresses something here which I find interesting, and I would like to talk about this for just a moment. He said, what I ask myself is this: what did I remember from his speech? What did I learn at the end of the hour? So basically, it's like the question, how do you listen? Yeah. If you listen to satsang or to any of my videos in this way, that you ask yourself at the end, what do I remember? Yeah. What did he say there? Yeah. What do I remember? What did I learn? If this is your touchstone, whether it's a good or bad video or satsang for you, then you will be disappointed. I mean, I was sitting in satsang of my master Soham for 20 years. And I had the same experience basically every night. I didn't remember anything. I didn't learn anything. Yes, sometimes during satsang I had great revelation, but 2 minutes later it was all gone again. And at the end of the satsang, I couldn't remember anything. And with my videos, it's the same. After a satsang, after a video, I don't know anything about what I was talking about. It's all gone. And then later when the next day or during the next days when I work on the video and when I prepare the transcript and the subtitles. So basically I listen to the entire video or satsang one more time and check the transcript. So I read what I was talking about. Yeah, and I listen to it one more time. And I'm constantly surprised. For me, it's like I hear it for the first time. Because after satsang, after the video, it's all gone. And when you listen to a spiritual talk or a spiritual video, the way to listen, the best way to listen is to not listen to the words, to not try to understand, to not try to learn anything. Then you listen with your mind. This can be okay, for some people this is interesting, but this doesn't really do anything. Then you will be bored or disappointed. But in satsang something else is happening. You share in that energy. There is some energy flowing through you. And this energy does something with you. You don't know how. You don't know what. You can't even feel it most of the time. And you don't, certainly you don't understand it. And at the end, you don't know what happened in this hour. You don't even know what this guy was talking about. You don't remember, and You didn't learn anything, but you got touched. That you know. You don't know how, you don't know what it means. And that's how to participate in such things. That's how to listen to a spiritual discourse or video or whatever. Just with your heart. Just taste it. And then forget everything again. It's not about remembering anything I say. I say the same things all the time anyway. But just drink the energy. Yeah? Feel you and enjoy yourself if you enjoy it. That's the best way to listen. Everything else is a waste of time. Yeah. I don't even know what I'm talking about. You know? I have to experience it myself every day again and again and again. There's something in the Bible. It says that you are not supposed to make an image of God, which means, translated, don't think you know God. Don't think you know anything about Him. And here we try to talk about truth. Somehow we try to talk about how to make your way back to your original being, to your soul, to God. And these are things which can't be known. They can only be experienced in the moment. And something in you is changed and touched. But when the satsang is over, you don't remember it. It's really mysterious. Thank you for this comment. So, here's another comment which, by pure accident, perfectly fits to what we were just talking about. Living in the spirit isn't a talent like playing the violin. No one can teach you how to be completely aware. Well, that's quite a strong but very true comment. Yeah, living the spirit is not a talent. You know, whether you can be really good at playing the violin is not in your hands. You can practice the violin as much as you want. If you have talent, you will be great. If you practice, if you learn it. But if you don't have the talent, you can work as much as you want. You will be mediocre, but that's it. But in the spiritual field, it's different. It's just as you say. That door is open to anybody. This is the human path. So anybody who desires to find his or her way back to your soul, back to God, back into heaven, you can do it. The only thing which is needed is your desire for this, your openness for this. And then you can do it. It's not a talent. It's all possible for you. There's nothing holding you back. That's the truth. And the second sentence of this comment was just equally true. No one can teach you how to be completely aware. Yes, this is totally true. Nobody can teach you this. You have to do the homework yourself. It just is like this. A guru opens you up. But then you have to do the work yourself. Meditating, you have to do yourself. I can remind you. Yeah, I make a video, so when you listen to it, you remember, oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I forgot. But then, it's your job. I cannot do the work for you. Yeah? I cannot give you anything. I don't need to give you anything. The work you have to do yourself. I try to motivate you a little bit, and I try to remind you, because when you live your normal worldly life, you forget and you think this is all stupid what you feel inside, this longing you feel, or this knowing, this works, yes. But then none of your friends, none of your colleagues, none of your family share the same knowledge, so you forget and you doubt yourself. But then you hear somebody else talk about it, maybe me, and then you remember again, oh yeah, of course I know. But I cannot tell you anything you don't know yourself. If you're being touched by what I say, it's because you know yourself since a long time. You have just forgotten. And then praying, meditating, this is something you have to do yourself. That's teaching you the essence. Life. Yeah? Living life, surrendering to life, making peace with life, making peace with the fact that this is not your life, but God's life, making peace with your feelings. This is what teaches you. Yeah. And with this, meditation helps you. That's the only thing some people don't want, and that's why nothing happens. You have to do the work yourself. But it's worth it, I tell you. Yeah. Thank you for your comment. I appreciate it very much.
Michael, I have a question to read out.
Oh, how nice. Beautiful.
It's from Anne.
Hello, Anne.
When I started the meditation for a few months, the attention was coming from the inside to the crown. Then I noticed the attention was coming from the outside, more spacious. I even sensed there was no head. Can you speak about this?
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Yeah, I know this too. Swamiji says, when you meditate, what happens over time, over the month, over the years, that your body consciousness reduces, and that your soul consciousness becomes stronger. And what that means is that you don't feel so much anymore this, I'm this body, yeah? You feel at home in this body. You feel this is me, and if you say, I am hungry, and I am sick, you are not hungry, you are not sick. This body is hungry, very hungry sometimes very sick, but not you. When you meditate, this changes slowly, very, very slowly. You don't even notice this, because the change is so subtle and so slow over time. And in the meditation, the same thing is then, you can feel this. In the beginning of the meditation, I'm totally in my body. But the quieter I become, and the more often I returned again to the crown chakra, yeah, every second there's another thought, and you let go and you return to your crown chakra. And the more often you did this during the meditation, the quieter you become. And you don't even notice how you slowly forget your body. And then when almost half an hour is over, I have the same experience like what you just described. It's like I'm not meditating in my body anymore. I'm somewhere else. I'm somewhere up there, I don't know where. And then when I open my eyes after 30 or 35 minutes, then it's like a surprise. Oh, I'm sitting here. I forgot I'm a body, I'm sitting here. I mean, I felt the body the whole time, somehow, but you forget. Just keep going. Don't think about it. Every time you start meditating, again, forget what you experienced in the last meditation. Just experience how it is now, and it changes month by month, year by year. It's the most amazing journey you can start. Thank you, Anne. Maybe I can, let's see. Maybe I can read one more or two more. Okay, maybe this is a nice way to end the satsang. I have a beautiful letter here, and this letter does not contain any questions. This letter is from a lady who meditates since a while, and she reports to me in her email what changed for her since she started Samarpan meditation. And she puts it in such a beautiful way that I just can't help it. I would like to read it out to you as an authentic report from one of these many, many human beings whose life is being transformed just by meditating. It's a little bit longer, but I just love this email. Dear beloved Michael, after I discovered your YouTube videos, everything has changed for me. I'm 70 years young, and I've been on the spiritual path most of my life. This has included what some people call psychic experiences, and also clear connections to what others might call multidimensional self. In many ways, what Swamiji says about becoming our own guru, I have been able to accomplish somewhat in the last 3 years. I am guided about most everything I ask concerning my life, and my sensitivities have magnified tenfold. I am retired, and I live an extremely solitary life. I may go for days not seeing anyone or talking to anyone, and this suits me just fine. The word lonely has never had any meaning for me, and I have never been more content than now. But I tell all of this to you to illustrate the significance of how your videos have been the catalyst to what I now experience. The missing piece to the freedom I have always been searching for since I was a little girl was discovered in your video, Life Without Thoughts. I first encountered this practice when Eckhart Tolle wrote his The Power of Now book, and also others spoke about being present and being the observer. But as much as I tried in my own way, was never able to make a dent, so to speak, in this practice. But your video and the Samarpan meditation has been life-altering. After watching, my first thought was, my very life depends on this. I knew this was it. I knew this emptying myself, this surrender, this supreme resting point was the final missing piece. After all these years of spiritual minutiae, it was something as simple as that. I knew it in my bones. I then began watching other videos. Now she just praises me too much. I want to just skip over this. And Swamiji's biography captured my heart. I have been a long time follower of Jesus, although I was not raised this way. But I consider Swamiji my guru now, and I understand completely the act of surrender to those who have come to set us free. And I now consider you my spiritual teacher because I have learned more from you in just a matter of 6 weeks than I have in the many years I've been a seeker. I need to interrupt here for a moment. You know, all these years you have been seeking, they have changed you. They have prepared you. You were growing, you were ripening. And now you just need a little tip for the last step. So every step of your way, every day of your life changed you and prepared you. But I'm honored that I'm allowed to be at your side now in this exciting phase of your life. So I go on with the letter. Some of the changes from doing the Samarpan meditations are the following. Meditation has become so much easier for me. Now I enjoy it. It is a time and a place I go to for respite, for comfort. During the day, after morning meditation, I'll spend time just sitting and meditating some more, just because the inner reality feels so much better than the outer reality. Oh yes. There are times during meditation where the presence of my soul is felt strongly, and I weep from love. Although this has happened in other circumstances for me, when it happens during meditation, I can feel it from my connection to my soul. My sensitivities have increased. In my life, my main task outside of my monk-like existence is helping an elderly couple whose husband is in the process of dying, and they are totally unequipped for this journey. And I have been able to facilitate emotionally, physically and spiritually in ways I never imagined because of the meditation. It's like you say, heaven is brought into this reality and miracles happen. And all because of a simple meditation practice, which is really a big spiritual truth in motion. Who knew that it could be this simple? So, to wrap this up, a big thank you to you. And I thank Swamiji and all the Guru energies that made all of this possible. I'm looking forward to the future of unending miracles. I love you so much. I love you too. So much. Thank you for your report. Yeah, this is my experience too. Everything you say is my experience. And I read this letter out. I receive letters like this occasionally. I don't always read them out. But I want to let you know, the others, this is normal. You know, when you are a Christian or a Buddhist or whatever, doesn't matter. If you grow up in any religion, you learn something really funny. On the one hand, you learn that it's our heritage to be the son or the daughter of God, but on the other hand, you learn somehow that you are just a sinner and it's not possible for you. All you can do is hope. But this is not the truth. This is a misunderstanding. Jesus always said, follow me, come, follow me. Take up your cross, meaning your life. Yeah? Follow me. And what you just heard from this letter, this is possible for you. All you need is meditate. Meditate without expectation. Without waiting for anything. Just meditate because it's fun. Live your life and meditate. And everything will change by itself over time. I've experienced this with countless people, and of course with myself. This is what Jesus was talking about. This is what Buddha talked about. This is what all the gurus, all the saints were talking about. And it's possible. It's easy. It takes time. And the only thing which is needed is that we forget this belief that this is nothing I can do. This is not, if I can do it, I'm the most normal person in the world. Yeah, there's nothing special about me. If I can do it, you can do it too. She could do it, the writer of this letter. You can do it too. This is my challenge to you. So we are at the end of the satsang. I already went a little bit over time, but this letter just carried me away. I'm so happy that you are here. You know, as I just said, this is the only difficulty in this life. We don't believe, we don't know what's possible. And we don't know how simple it is, how down to earth. It is nothing esoteric. It's nothing up there with grand imaginations and other worlds. No, you are in the world where you are supposed to be, here. Here, where you are, in your life. That's where it's happening. And it's natural and easy. If you have any questions about this, I'm delighted to receive your question. You can write to me via email. Yeah. In a month there will be another English satsang online. If you like, I'm happy when you join again. And if you don't want to miss any satsangs or any new videos, I invite you to subscribe to my newsletter. It's free, of course. And then you will get informed when there's anything new. And it's totally new. This year there will be two retreats with me. If you want to meet me in satsang, in May there is the spring retreat in Austria, and at the turn of the year, at the end of the year, from the 1st to the 5th of January 2026, we will have a lovely New Year retreat near Frankfurt in Germany, and I'm happy to meet you there if you want to spend a few days just with satsang and meditation, and if you want some yoga. Yeah, this coming together in truth is so helpful, and it's just fun. It's just such a good time. If you enjoy my satsangs, if you enjoy my videos, I'm totally happy, and it's all free of charge on purpose, because this is not my truth, you know. I'm just remind you of your own truth, so I don't sell you anything. But if you want to support this, I'm totally grateful. If you feel joy with supporting me, you can do so on my website. On the donate page, you find information how you can financially support me, and I'm very grateful and very happy if you feel to do so. But it's all free, and I want you to just enjoy everything I offer without any feeling of obligation. This is really important to me. I'm so happy that you are here. Thank you for being here. I love you.